The boardroom fell silent as the email hit my inbox. My career was terminated. Effective immediately, no explanation, no warning. My name is Marcus Everett. At 62 years old, I had spent 22 years as a senior captain for Horizon Air based out of Phoenix. 22 years of impeccable safety records. 22 years of punctual departures. 22 years of mentoring the next generation of pilots who would advance our airline. Nathan Brooks, our new operations manager, delivered the news in person, staring at his tablet rather than meeting my gaze. His hand stayed folded on the sleek desk, fingers tapping against a digital dashboard that apparently quantified my value to the company. "It's not personal, Marcus," he said, his voice clipped. "You're a relic of a bygone era, and your salary doesn't fit our vision. Your compensation package is no longer aligned with our growth strategy," he continued, finally looking up. "The severance details are outlined in this packet." I took the sealed envelope without opening it. Through the window behind him, I could see one of our Airbus A320s taxiing toward the runway, the late afternoon sun reflecting off its fuselage. Flight 3917 to Seattle. Ethan Marshall would be in the captain's seat today. I had endorsed his captain's certification just 4 years ago. "You're throwing away decades of loyalty," I said, my voice low but sharp. "Who's going to keep this airline safe now?" "Is there anything else?" I asked, keeping my tone steady. Nathan shook his head, already turning back to his tablet. "Human resources will handle the exit procedures. They're expecting you downstairs." I stood, adjusted my uniform jacket out of habit, and walked to the door. 22 years dissolved in a 4-minute meeting. No questions about who would assume my training responsibilities. No concern for the 8 flight instructors I supervised. No recognition of the loyalty I had fostered among the crew. As I reached the door, Nathan's voice cut through the silence. "Oh, and Marcus?" "Don't make a scene. It won't change anything." "Captain Everett," Nathan called as I reached for the door handle. "We'll need your uniform returned before you leave the building." I nodded without turning around and stepped into the hallway where Sandra from HR was already waiting, tablet in hand, her expression carefully neutral. She avoided my eyes, whispering, "I'm so sorry, Marcus. They made me do this." As we walked toward the elevator, my phone vibrated in my pocket. A text from Lucas Bennett, one of my first officers. "Is it true? They're saying you were fired for insubordination." News spread quickly in an airline. I tucked the phone away without responding and followed Sandra to the processing room where I would surrender my badge, keys, and the uniform I had worn with pride for over 2 decades. In the locker room, I changed into civilian clothes and folded my uniform with military precision, a habit from my Navy days that had never faded. As I placed my captain's hat on top of the pile, I noticed a small photograph taped inside my locker. My first crew at Horizon, standing proudly beside our aircraft. Most of them were captains now, commanding their own flights. They had no idea their mentor had just been grounded. I started flying when I was 17, scraping together funds for lessons by working overnight shifts at an airport fuel depot. By 23, I had my commercial license and was flying cargo routes across the Southwest. The Navy came next, 13 years of service that took me from training missions to combat operations. When I joined Horizon Air at 40, I brought that discipline and precision with me. In those early days, Horizon was expanding, eager for seasoned pilots to solidify its foundation. Leonard Foster, the founder, had personally recruited me, valuing my military background. "Build me the finest flight crew in the industry," he had said. And for 22 years, that's exactly what I did. I trained them all. Young pilots straight out of flight school, military transfers adapting to commercial aviation, every captain who earned their 5th stripe in the last 12 years had spent time with me in the simulator, navigating emergency scenarios and intricate landing patterns. We built something extraordinary, a reputation for safety and excellence that made Horizon the preferred airline for executives and vacationers alike. Then, Leonard retired 4 years ago. His daughter Amelia took over as CEO, bringing in analysts and optimization specialists who understood data better than aviation. The first changes were subtle: reduced training sessions, faster turnaround schedules, fewer reserve crews, small concessions that improved financial reports but strained operational staff. Nathan Brooks arrived 8 months ago to streamline flight operations. He had never piloted anything more complex than a golf cart, but he had a PhD in business, and a directive to reduce expenses. His first act was to install surveillance cameras in the training simulators, claiming it was for performance monitoring. Pilots called it intimidation. The warning signs were evident. Senior staff began vanishing, replaced by contract pilots working at reduced rates. Training budgets were cut. When I raised concerns about safety margins in a management meeting last month, Nathan had smiled thinly and said, "We're aligning resource allocation with industry benchmarks." Benchmarks that risk lives, I'd shot back, earning a glare that promised retribution. My phone buzzed again as I left the HR office. A message from Olivia Harper, our chief flight instructor, requesting a meeting in the pilot's lounge. She added, "We're not letting this go quietly." Now, I should have headed straight home, should have taken the severance and walked away clean. Instead, I found myself riding the elevator back up to the 4th floor. 10 pilots were gathered in the lounge when I arrived. Lucas Bennett, Olivia Harper, and 8 others, all captains I had trained, all wearing the same expression of barely contained frustration. "Is it true?" Lucas asked again. "They're saying you questioned Amelia's leadership in front of the board." I nodded once. "Effective immediately." The room fell silent. "They said it was a restructuring decision," I explained, keeping my voice neutral. "Nothing personal, just business," Olivia scoffed. "Nothing personal. You've been here since before half the management team finished high school. They're gutting this airline," she said, slamming her fist on the table. "And you're the first to go because you wouldn't stay silent." "What are you going to do?" asked Caleb Vaughn, a senior captain who had been my first officer for 6 years before earning his promotion. I shrugged. "Take some time off." "Explore my options." The words felt empty even to me. "This isn't right," Lucas said. He was pacing now, moving between the windows overlooking the tarmac. "You're the cornerstone of the training program. Half the pilots in this company wouldn't have their wings without you, and they know it," he added, his voice rising. "That's why they're scared of you." "The decision's been made," I replied. "There was no point in fighting it. I appreciate the support, but you all have flights to catch." Olivia crossed her arms. "My next flight isn't until tomorrow, and I'm considering calling in sick. If they think they can bully us into compliance, they're wrong," she said, her eyes blazing. The others murmured agreement, but I shook my head. "Don't jeopardize your careers. That's not what I want." As I turned to leave, my phone rang. The screen showed Leonard Foster's name. I stepped into the hallway to take the call. "Marcus, I just heard." Leonard's voice was taut with anger. "Amelia told me it was a mutual agreement that you were ready to retire." "She's lying to save face," he growled. "I built this airline on trust, not betrayal." "Not exactly," I said, watching through the glass as the pilots continued their heated discussion in the lounge. "This is not how I built this airline," Leonard said. "Not how we treat our people, especially not someone who's given everything to Horizon. It's not your company anymore, Leonard." There was a long pause. "No, it's not, but I still have contacts in this industry. Simon Zhao over at Pinnacle Airways has been seeking someone to revamp their training program. Interested?" Pinnacle Airways was a fast-growing charter airline specializing in luxury and corporate travel. They had a strong reputation and substantial funding. "I might be," I admitted, "but I just walked out the door. I need some time." "Take the weekend," Leonard said. "I'll arrange a meeting for Tuesday morning. And Marcus, don't let them break you. You're bigger than their games." As I ended the call, I saw Nathan Brooks striding toward the pilot's lounge, his face flushed with irritation. Through the glass, I could see more pilots had joined the original group. At least 18 now, all in uniform, all looking resolute. Something stirred inside me. For 22 years, I had given everything to Horizon Air. Flawless attendance, holiday shifts, late-night emergency replacements when others called in sick. I had built their training program from scratch, established safety protocols that became industry benchmarks, and personally mentored dozens of pilots. And they had discarded me with a 4-minute meeting and a sealed envelope. I overheard Nathan muttering to an aide, "If they don't fly, we'll replace them all by next week." I walked back into the lounge just as Nathan pushed through the door from the opposite side. "Don't you all have flights to prepare for?" he demanded. Nobody moved. 24 pairs of eyes turned to me instead, waiting. I made a decision. "Actually," I said quietly, "I believe we need to discuss crew safety concerns." Nathan's expression hardened. "Captain Everett is no longer employed by Horizon Air." Any safety concerns should be directed through proper channels. Proper channels? Olivia snapped. You mean the ones you've ignored for months? You mean through you? Olivia asked, her voice carrying that dangerous calm I recognized from challenging flights. The same person who cut our simulator training hours by 40% last month. Nathan adjusted his tie. Those adjustments were based on efficiency analytics and industry standards. Those adjustments put planes at risk, Caleb interrupted, and now you're firing the one person who's been compensating for your cuts by putting in extra hours with newer pilots. You don't get it, do you? Caleb added, stepping forward. Marcus is the only reason we've avoided disaster. I held up a hand before the situation escalated further. This isn't about me. It's about protocol and proper training. The pilots have legitimate concerns, which they can file through the appropriate channels, Nathan repeated, glancing at his watch. Right now, they have schedules to maintain. Flight 4821 to Portland boards in 50 minutes. Flight 3759 to Dallas in an hour. No one moved. That's my flight to Portland, Lucas said, and I'm not comfortable taking off without addressing these safety issues first. Nor am I, added Gregory Hayes, his voice steady. I've seen what happens when corners are cut. I won't be part of it. A muscle twitched in Nathan's jaw. You're contractually obligated to fly your assigned routes. Unless there's a legitimate safety concern, I countered. Federal aviation regulations are quite clear on that point. Nathan's eyes narrowed. Is this your play, Everett? Disrupting operations on your way out? You call this disruption? I shot back. I call it saving lives. I'm simply supporting valid concerns raised by your pilots, I replied evenly. As a certified flight instructor, I have that professional obligation regardless of my employment status. The standoff continued for another tense moment before Nathan pulled out his phone. I'm calling Amelia. He stepped aside, but not far enough to hide his hissed words. They're rebelling. We need to shut this down now. While he stepped aside to make the call, the pilots moved closer to me. What's the plan here, Marcus? Olivia asked quietly. No plan, I replied honestly. Just making sure your concerns are heard. But something was building in that room, a collective resistance I hadn't anticipated. More pilots were arriving, alerted by text messages circulating through the crew. The lounge was getting crowded. Nathan returned, looking smug. Amelia is on her way down. In the meantime, all pilots are ordered to prepare for their scheduled departures immediately. Or what? Asked Gregory Hayes, a veteran captain who had transferred from Delta around the same time I joined Horizon. Or you'll face disciplinary action, Nathan snapped. Possibly termination. Gregory laughed, the sound sharp in the tense room. I've got 32 years of clean flight records and 16 years at this airline. You want to explain to the board why you're firing senior captains during peak holiday travel season? Go ahead, Nathan, Gregory taunted. Fire us all. See how that plays out. The elevator doors opened and Amelia Foster strode in, her tailored suit a stark contrast to the pilot's uniforms. At 42, she looked like a younger, less seasoned version of her father, but lacked Leonard's warmth and aviation expertise. What's going on here? She demanded, scanning the room. Her eyes locked on me, cold and calculating. You're orchestrating this, aren't you, Marcus? Your pilots have safety concerns, I said before Nathan could speak. Concerns that have been systematically ignored for months. Amelia's expression tightened. Marcus, you're no longer employed here. This doesn't concern you. It concerns anyone who cares about aviation safety, I replied, and anyone who might fly on one of your planes. You're risking lives for profit, I added, my voice rising, and we won't stand for it. She turned to address the pilots directly. I understand there may be some attachment to Captain Everett, but this is a business decision, nothing more. Her gaze swept the room now. I need everyone to return to their duties immediately. No one moved. This is insubordination, Amelia warned. Call it what you want, Olivia said, stepping forward. We're not flying until you address the safety violations. Olivia continued. No, ma'am. This is a formal safety stand-down, initiated by concerned flight crew members as permitted under federal aviation regulations and our union agreement. Amelia's face flushed. Fine. You have 90 minutes to present your concerns in writing to Nathan. Then everyone returns to their scheduled flights. As she turned to leave, she paused beside me. "You're making a mistake," she said quietly. "I could have made this transition easy for you." "Easy," I replied, my voice low. "You betrayed everything your father built." "This isn't about me," I repeated, but we both knew that wasn't entirely true. The pilots gathered in the briefing room, quickly drafting a comprehensive list of safety concerns. It wasn't difficult. They had been accumulating for months. Reduced training hours, shortened turnaround times that left inadequate room for proper pre-late inspections, maintenance issues that were documented but deferred, pressure to reduce fuel loads to save costs. I overheard Lucas whisper to Caleb, "If we don't act now, someone's going to die." I sat quietly in the back, offering occasional input but mostly watching the organic organization of a crew I had trained. They were professional, methodical, and thorough. Everything I had taught them to be. While they worked, I stepped out to make a phone call. "Simon Zhao." The voice was crisp, authoritative. "Mr. Zhao, this is Marcus Everett. Leonard Foster suggested I call." "Captain Everett," Simon replied, his tone warming. "Leonard spoke highly of you, very highly. I understand Horizon has made a significant error in judgment." "That's one way to put it." "I have a proposition for you," Simon continued, "but first, tell me what's happening there now." Leonard mentioned something about pilot unrest. I explained the situation briefly. "Fascinating," Simon said when I finished, "and predictable. Horizon's digging their own grave," he added, "and I'm ready to capitalize on it. Listen, I need to make some calls. Can you meet tomorrow instead of Tuesday?" "I can meet whenever you want." "Good. In the meantime, don't sign anything from Horizon. No severance agreements, no non-competes, nothing. Can you do that?" "Yes." "Excellent. I'll be in touch with details." "And Marcus? Bring your pilots. We'll need them." When I returned to the briefing room, the atmosphere had changed. The pilots were huddled around Olivia's laptop, expressions grim. "What is it?" I asked. Caleb waved me over. We were pulling documentation to support our safety claims. "Olivia found something in the system." Olivia turned the screen so I could see. It showed a series of maintenance reports for aircraft in the Horizon fleet, reports with discrepancies between the initial submissions and the final versions. "These were altered," she explained. "Maintenance issues downgraded from critical to advisory, required service intervals extended beyond manufacturer specifications." I scrolled through the documents, my concern growing with each page. "How long has this been happening?" "Based on what I can access, about 5 months," Olivia replied. "Right after the new maintenance management software was implemented. The software Nathan insisted would streamline operations," Lucas added. "Streamline," Lucas spat. "It's a cover-up. This went beyond cost-cutting. This was dangerous, potentially criminal." "We need to include this in the report," I said. Olivia nodded. "Already done. But Marcus, this isn't just about safety anymore. This is fraud. These records are submitted to the FAA." "And they knew," Olivia whispered. Amelia signed off on the changes. The door opened and Amelia entered with Nathan and 2 men I didn't recognize. "Your 90 minutes are up," Amelia announced. "Nathan will review your concerns and address them appropriately. In the meantime, these gentlemen are from company security. They'll escort Captain Everett from the premises." Olivia closed her laptop and stood. "We're not finished." "Yes, you are," Amelia replied coldly. "All pilots are to report to their scheduled flights immediately or face termination for job abandonment." "Did you know about the maintenance reports?" I asked her directly. Amelia's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to us," I said, stepping closer. "You approved the falsified records. The falsified maintenance records, the ones being submitted to the FAA with critical issues downgraded." Nathan stepped forward quickly. "That's a serious accusation without evidence and completely off topic from the agreed discussion." "We have the evidence," Olivia said, "both versions of the reports." She held up a USB drive, "and it's already backed up off-site." Amelia and Nathan exchanged a glance that confirmed everything. "This meeting is over," Amelia declared. "Security will remain here until all pilots have left for their assigned duties." As the security guards moved toward me, I saw Lucas quietly slip Olivia's laptop into his flight bag. Whatever happened next, the evidence was secure, and I suddenly understood that this wasn't just about my termination. It was about silencing anyone who might uncover what they had been doing. As the guards grabbed my arms, Amelia leaned in close. "You'll regret this, Marcus. I'll make sure of it." The security guards escorted me to my car in the employee parking lot. As we walked, my phone buzzed with a text from Simon Zhao. "Meeting confirmed, 10:00 a.m. tomorrow, Pinnacle Airways headquarters." Once alone in my car, I called Leonard Foster. "It's worse than we thought," I told him. "They've been falsifying maintenance records." Leonard's sharp intake of breath told me everything. "That explains the sudden profit margin improvements Amelia's been boasting about. Cutting corners on maintenance. The pilots have evidence, but Amelia's threatening termination if they don't fly. Where are you now?" "Parking lot. They just escorted me out." "Good, stay away from the terminal. I'll make some calls." "I'm calling in every favor I have," Leonard said. "This ends now." I drove home to my empty house, divorced 4 years ago, son in graduate school on the West Coast, and waited. Within an hour, my phone began lighting up with messages. "Lucas, Flight 4821 to Portland canceled. Mechanical issues. Olivia, Flight 3759 to Dallas grounded. Crew unavailable. Gregory, Seattle route canceled." A text from Caleb read, "We're all refusing to fly. This is for you." Similar story across the board. One by one, Horizon's pilots were finding reasons not to fly. Not an organized strike that would be illegal without proper union procedures, but individual decisions based on professional judgment and safety concerns. By evening, the Horizon website showed dozens of cancellations. I received a call from an unfamiliar number. "Captain Everett, this is Diane Larson, FAA Safety Inspector. I understand you may have information about falsified maintenance records at Horizon Air." "I do, but I'm not the primary source. You should speak with Olivia Harper, their chief flight instructor." "We're working on that," Inspector Larson replied. "In the meantime, would you be willing to provide a statement?" "Absolutely. We're moving fast," Larson said. "This could bring Horizon down." The next morning, I arrived at Pinnacle Airways' headquarters 20 minutes early. The sleek building shone in the morning light, the company's distinctive green and gold logo prominently displayed. Simon Zhao met me in the lobby himself, unusual for the CEO of a growing airline. He was about my age, with a firm handshake and direct gaze. "Thank you for coming, Captain," he said, leading me toward the elevator. "Horizon's imploding as we speak," he added with a wry smile. "We have a lot to discuss." In the conference room upstairs, he got straight to the point. "Horizon Air is in serious trouble," Simon began. "The FAA launched an investigation last night. Their stock is already dropping on the news. I'm not surprised. What might surprise you is that we've been watching Horizon for some time. Their cost-cutting measures created an opportunity for us. We've been planning to expand our pilot roster to compete more directly with them on premium routes." He slid a folder across the table. Inside was an employment contract with a compensation package significantly higher than what I'd had at Horizon. "We want you to lead our flight operations and training program," Simon continued. "Complete autonomy. Build it your way, with safety as the priority." I glanced through the contract, noting the title, Director of Flight Operation. "There's more," Simon added. "We're prepared to offer positions to any qualified Horizon pilots who want to make the switch immediately." "How many positions?" "How many pilots do you trust?" I thought about the faces in that room yesterday. The professionals I had trained and mentored for years. "At least 35, I replied. "Experienced, safety-focused captains and first officers." Simon smiled. "Perfect. That's exactly what we need to execute our expansion." My phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. "FAA investigators at headquarters. All flights grounded, pending inspection." She added, "Amelia's panicking, tried to bribe me to stay quiet." I showed Simon the message. "Timing is everything in business," he said. "Sometimes you have to wait for the right moment to make your move. Like when your competitor fires their most connected pilot and alienates their entire flight crew in one catastrophic day of miscalculations." "I accept," I said, extending my hand. "Let's bury Horizon," I added, my voice firm. The plan was taking shape, not one of revenge, but of rebuilding something better. 4 weeks after my termination, I stood in Pinnacle Airways' newly expanded training center. The state-of-the-art facility featured 8 flight simulators, advanced emergency training equipment, and classrooms equipped with the latest aviation technology. Simon had delivered on his promise of autonomy, approving my design specifications without hesitation. "What do you think?" Simon asked, surveying the space. "It's exactly what I envisioned," I replied. He checked his watch. They should be arriving soon. On cue, the main doors opened. Olivia Harper entered first, followed by Lucas, Caleb, and 32 other Horizon pilots, all wearing civilian clothes, all carrying their personal flight bags. "Welcome to Pinnacle," I said simply. Olivia grinned. "Nice setup you've got here, Captain." "Better than Horizon ever deserved," she added, her voice tinged with defiance. As the pilots explored the facility, Simon pulled me aside. 35 pilots in one day. That's quite a statement. "They're the best in the business," I told him. My phone rang. "Leonard Foster calling." "You watching the news?" he asked without preamble. "No." "Why? Turn it on. Any business channel." I nodded to Simon, who activated the large screen in the briefing room. "The corruption at Horizon Air has led to the resignation of its CEO, Amelia Foster, after only 4 years at the helm. The FAA investigation into falsified maintenance records has grounded the airline's entire fleet, with the company's stock plummeting 52% since the probe began. Trading has been temporarily halted." "Amelia just resigned," Leonard said in my ear. "Board forced her out after the preliminary FAA findings. Nathan's gone too, effective immediately." "They're done," Leonard said. "You won, Marcus." The news anchor was saying, "Industry sources confirm that Horizon Air has canceled over 420 flights in the past 4 weeks due to pilot shortages and aircraft groundings. The company has been forced to lease aircraft and crews from competitors at premium rates to maintain their core routes." Simon turned to the assembled pilots. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future of premium aviation." He raised a glass of water in a mock toast. "To new beginnings, and to Horizon's end." I thought of Nathan Brooks' dismissive words. "Your compensation is no longer aligned with our growth strategy." He had been right in a way. I wasn't worth far more than Horizon had been paying me, a fact now quantified precisely by the market value of 35 experienced pilots and 420 canceled flights. Sometimes the most powerful response is not what you say, but what you build after you leave. 8 months later, I stood on the tarmac watching Pinnacle's newest aircraft, a sleek Airbus A350, make its final approach. The plane touched down smoothly, reverse thrusters engaging at exactly the right moment. Perfect landing, as I'd expect from Olivia Harper. Pinnacle Airways had expanded rapidly, adding 20 new routes and capturing a significant portion of the premium market formerly dominated by Horizon. Their training program, my training program, was already being recognized as the industry standard for safety and excellence. Leonard Foster joined me on the observation deck, watching as the aircraft taxied toward the terminal. "Horizon's board offered me the CEO position yesterday," he said casually, "asked me to come back and fix the mess. Are you going to take it?" Leonard shook his head. "That chapter's closed. Besides, I'm enjoying retirement." The A350 came to a stop at the gate. In a few minutes, Olivia and her crew would disembark, having completed another successful international flight. "They're sending an envoy to talk to you," Leonard continued. "New board chairman. They want you back, Marcus, desperately. They even offered to double your old salary," he added with a chuckle. "Too late for that." I wasn't surprised. Horizon had managed to stay afloat, but their reputation had suffered. Rebuilding would require experienced leadership they no longer had. "What will you tell them?" Leonard asked. Below us, Olivia emerged from the terminal, spotted me on the deck, and waved. "I'll tell them I'm exactly where I belong." "And that they can keep their blood money," I added, my voice firm. We watched as the ground crew prepared the A350 for its next journey. Tomorrow, I would be in the captain's seat again, piloting a charter flight to Singapore. Not because Pinnacle needed me in the cockpit, but because I had negotiated the right to fly regularly as part of my executive duties. Some things you don't give up no matter your title. "You've built something remarkable here," Leonard said. "We built it," I corrected him, thinking of all the pilots who had taken a chance on following me. The evening sun glinted off the aircraft's wings, much like that afternoon when I had watched Flight 3917 taxiing from Nathan Brooks' office. The difference was now I was exactly where I was supposed to be, not grounded, just flying a better route.